All right, everybody, here we are back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. This one's going to be a little different. You can tell I'm not in the studio, but the rest of the team is back at the studio. I'm at the beach, so I'm going to record remotely, and we got a lot to talk about this week. We got a great guest coming on, which I'll tell you about later, but we need to talk about the 600 and everything else going on in the sport and our lives. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get started. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. All right, so we're in the Bojangles studio, and I want to remind you now, through June 9th, you're going to get a free sausage Bowberry biscuit using the promo code Dale Jr., D-A-L-E-J-R. And you can get that by placing your order on Bojangles.com or inside the app. So download the app, place your order with this code, D-A-L-E-J-R, and you get the free sausage Bowberry biscuit. I have people coming up to me all the time thanking me for the free bird dogs. This promotion is working. I'm happy about that. I like helping people get free stuff. So anyways, available for a limited time. Go get it while you can at Bojangles. So anyways, we talked about how I'm not in the studio. I am at the beach. This is my sim room. You can see over my shoulder my gaming rig and my trusty printer to help me print off all these documents for the shows here that we're going to be doing. And
you got like a ticker behind you too. You got like, what is that?
The tiny ticker.
Yeah, the tiny ticker.
The tiny
ticker's going. I like that thing, man. You can pretty much put anything you want on there. How many days is it until Christmas? You can put that on there.
Dang.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it'll be cycling. I don't know if you can see it real well, but yeah, I'll be back and forth through the summer, and we're gonna keep the shows rolling. I've been down here for a couple of days, and I thought we could have a little conversation before we get into the race stuff. And everything that happened at the 600 and everything else happened in the sport. I guess today is an interesting day for Stewart-Haas Racing. I guess everybody knows that at some point this afternoon they're going to let the employees know everything. We could talk about that later, but anyhow, there's a couple things that have been going on in our lives. Everybody, our lives, mine, you guys' lives. We've been having a little bit of fun. We've been having a little bit of fun since North Carolina opened up with sports betting. And so, obviously, with the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, all kinds of things going on. There's some cool opportunities, and we've been playing it slow, trying to just kind of learn how all this works. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not well versed in gambling and slippery slopes. So just kind of want to take it easy. But we ended up following a couple handles on social media that were teeing up some bets that they thought they were giving advice, right? Which we do as well on Dirty Mo Doe. And what we learned, or what I learned, is that there's these things called ladder bets or lock trains. And so we had a lot of fun with this. You take a unit or whatever you're comfortable with, a small amount of money, and you're going to make this bet and keep reinvesting the winnings over a series of 6 to 8 bets, and you're eventually going to end up with this big lump sum, right? And it's like kind of like a pyramid of upside down pyramid of sort of creating all this opportunity. And if everything goes well, you're going to end up winning a lot of money starting with a very small amount. And we did that. All of us together started with a tiny little sum and built it up to a lot of money and a couple $100. And so, but I was going to leave and come down here to the beach for the last bet. We had all of us had been successful. We'd taken this tiny little bit of money and built it up, and there's one more bet to make, right? We're going to finally get to the top of the mountain. But I had to go out of town, and I'm in South Carolina. There's no sports books here, so you cannot place any bets. And the bet busted. The bet busted.
Yep.
Someone texted in the group chat like, "This is a sign."
It was me.
Yeah. You said it.
This is a sign. Dale can't bet. We're not gonna bet. We're not gonna do it.
And look at what happened.
So I gotta ask. So did anybody else in the group make the bet?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Heck no. Yeah. It's a sign, man. I don't do that.
Oh man. Well, it saved us because the bet busted, and I wasn't going. So we had talked about this, if your unit is $10, right, and you're going to start with $10 and do this ladder bet, and you're going to take everything every time you win, you're going to put it all back into the next bet. We talked about like pulling some back, right?
Right.
I was 100% committed to. I was 100% committed to going all in, and boy, I'm glad I couldn't, because I would have lost all that money. But and so I don't know. I'm glad that I went out of town, saved us all.
Yeah,
yep. It was destiny.
Isn't it crazy? A vacation just saved some money.
I was checking my phone to get one text message of thank you or nothing from you guys.
You know what? Because I should have.
Save
You're
it for the
You're
show.
right.
We saved it for the show.
That one whole unit. That one whole unit you saved me really.
Wait, no. What? You had amassed all this wealth.
Yeah. I started super small. I started with $3, and then so it was like, I think I was up to $20 or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
No,
all
serious.
Right, all right. Well, that I just say that to let people know, we have Dirty Modo, and we have a lot of fun with that, and Tim's and Latart do a good job, but and we're sort of sticking our toe in the water a little bit, learning about sports betting, and it is fascinating stuff, and the things that you can bet on, and I mean there is limitless in one single game. There's so many crazy things that I had no idea that people could place bets on. Stuff that you would think is like a true lock. Like, we've talked about it. The runs scored in the first inning of a baseball game, you can pick either team, right? Are they going to score a run? And you just assume, game cranks up. They're probably not going to score a run in that first inning. That's, team's going to get loose, and the pitchers are going to get tired and all those things. But so it's pretty interesting, the things you can bet on. I wanted to ask you too, and this got me thinking about you guys yesterday. So we have this house in South Carolina. We really enjoy it, and we've been here for a couple years, and we don't really know many people in the neighborhood and haven't really made a big effort to get out there and meet the neighbors too much. We're cool with it. I mean, I'm not like, I'm not antisocial, but I'm an introvert and shy, and don't really interject or push myself onto other people and neighbors. And so, so we've been here several years, and we've got one neighbor just across the street that we've came to know and really appreciate. And Amy says, all right, this summer we're gonna meet the neighbors. So when I got here, we went over to a person's house. Amy said, when you get here, I went to the Xfinity race, and then I went to the Cars Tour race at Tri-County, and then I got up early in the morning and came to the beach. Amy and the girls were already down here. And she says, when you get here, we're going to a person's house. And so I immediately get anxious. And so, I make everything a bigger deal than it really is. But so I get super nervous. It's going to be fine. I'm going to go. We're going to have a great time. But I'm still, so I get here and I start asking Amy all these questions. How'd you meet these people? Who are they? Who all's going to be there? And she's getting really annoyed with me, all these questions. She's just like, really relax. Stop being such a idiot. And
yeah.
And so, but, you guys are younger. and I'm just assuming, like, for you guys to just up and go to another person's house, it's not a big deal, right? I wonder if we get older and we're a little more, I don't know, selective is probably not the right word, but I remember when I was young, going to somebody else's house, if I was with a friend or knew a friend was going to be there, I didn't care that I didn't know anyone else or hadn't never met the person whose house it was. But I don't know. We went over there. We had a blast. All the kids, there's a bunch of kids over there. All the kids were getting along, and we just we hung out the majority of the day and the evening. I missed a lot of the race. I tuned into the race, and it was already in the rain delay. And so, it was, but it was fun. And I, the following day, yesterday, we ended up going to another person's house who I'd never met, and spent the afternoon at the pool with the kids. And now our neighbors were there, so the common link is the neighbors that we do know, right? They're kind of connecting us to these other people that they have friendships with, right? So 2 days in a row, putting myself out there. The introvert in me is going crazy, but it was good. It was fun. It was fun. Yeah. So are you guys? What are you guys? Are y'all? Is that part of your? I guess what do you guys think about that?
I think the neighbor thing is the awkward part. Like, I don't think I don't, at least for me, I can go and have a conversation with most people, but then, like, if it's a neighbor, it's like, okay, this can't be awkward because I'm gonna see him all the time, and it's like you're close proximity. Yeah. So that's where I feel like it's different versus, like, oh, when you were a kid, you went to someone's house. Well, you didn't have to go back if you didn't like them, but you're kind of stuck next to your neighbors, which I think makes it a little bit, those conversations are always, I feel like for me, a little bit more awkward.
I think I'm getting over that hump a little bit of, I used to like, I could go anywhere and be happy anywhere, but now I'm like, I want to stay home. I want to be home. Yeah. I like home,
Yeah, I got here, and we love this vacation home of ours, and we often dream about moving down here full time, but it's just a daydream about that. But we love being here, and so when I was, I just got my SimRig set up and got this. We're going to podcast a little bit here this year, so I was excited about just like settling in, enjoying the house, maybe grabbing some dinner with the family. But Amy's like, "Oh, you got plans when you hit the ground. When you hit the ground, you got plans. Get ready. We're doing it." But
I just want to mention. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I just wanted to say in case our neighbors are to your
listening.
Point, Andrew,
yeah,
they're listening. Right. Man, I had a blast. Hey, I had a great time. I need to do that more. I'm just, I'm just apprehensive about, for no good reason, I guess. But I thought that was interesting. Made me think about you guys, and I'm like, because I'm older. You guys are, nearly half my age, and I wonder how you guys. I think, like Alex and you guys, you're looking for friendships and engaging with people, and you're looking for experiences. So you're probably putting yourself out in those situations weekly or every other weekend, going into town, meeting people and friends and new people at bars and stuff like that, or watching games and whatever you're going to watch the race somewhere. And that's just not my life, and it never really was part of my life. I never was that kind of person. I wasn't going to be I'm going downtown to watch the game with the guys and meet a bunch of other people that might be there, right? I never was that kind of person. I was pretty locked in and didn't really get out of the house much.
For every person I meet, I need about 3 days to myself.
That's fair. That's fair.
My social battery runs out quick. After like 2 days of meeting people, I need like a full week to like by myself.
Mentally recover.
Yeah. That's funny.
I just want to point out that in the note sheet, Dale, all you wrote was went to a stranger's house twice. Yeah. Like, what did you just walk in?
I thought he accidentally walked in somewhere.
Right. I thought the way you teed that up.
Well, the funny thing about our notes is I want to put in there
just enough.
Hey, I want to talk about this, but I don't want you to really know too much, right?
Right.
So
Well, it was
I want
perfect.
you to, yeah. So I really enjoyed it. Another thing that we have going on. Should we talk about the Instagram milestone?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was a big
Okay.
deal.
All right. So yeah, I wasn't sure about how to handle this. So on my Instagram, my followers kind of was idling around 970,000, 950,000, something like that for a really long time. And but in the last couple of years, it started trickling back. It started, rising, and I got to thinking, man, it might be fun to do something when we reach that 1 million followers milestone. And so I got with my team, and we thought about how to do something fun, but also something that would be impactful in the community and elsewhere. And so our team at Junior Motorsports and part of my brand team came up with this really cool idea. Morgan, who's handling a lot of my social media, dove into a bit of a deeper dive of where our followers are, where they're located.
Mm-hmm.
And we basically picked the top 10 cities from where our followers are located, and then we went to those cities virtually and researched some of the top charitable initiatives in those cities. And some are charitable initiatives that we're familiar with, that we already work with the foundation that we have. And we did a really deep dive into who those charities are and what they do, and we picked a charity in each city, and we're going to donate $1 million, $100,000 to each charity in each city where our followers are located. So it's just it's just a tip of the cap of appreciation to all the people that do follow me and support our work here at Dirty Mo Media. Most of the posts that you're going to see on my Instagram are going to be about our shows, and Dalton does a great job making sure all that content's there and allowing me to collaborate. So you're going to see some personal stuff, but most of it's our Dirty Mo Media work and everything else I got going on professionally. And so it's helpful to have people engaging and following what you're doing, and I wanted to acknowledge that. So this was just kind of a fun way to do that. But thanks to our team at Junior Motorsports for coming up with this cool plan. I'm comfortable and happy with that. That's a great way to acknowledge something that's pretty neat. And I really enjoy Instagram. It's one of my favorite. I mean, I don't spend any time really on any other social media apps except for Instagram and Twitter. And so it's kind of fun to be able to hit that milestone and then be able to make a cool little donation and support some of the cities where our followers are at. I saw where I've seen this a couple times, but Elon went on Twitter or X,
Yeah.
and he keeps asking. He does this like every 4, 5, 6 months. He puts a poll up and says, "What do you like better, Twitter or X?" As far as like
The name.
the name. Yeah, he just did this a couple days ago.
And what were the results?
Well, it's like 98% everybody wants Twitter.
They are right.
Which
That's what I would think.
I agree. Like I still call it Twitter. I'm just
yeah,
can't,
I'm not going to
can't-
switch.
I can't change. I'm too lazy to change. And so but he keeps tweeting this poll every so often. And I wonder if the results continue to be heavily toward Twitter, whether he'll just rebrand it back.
What a waste of money that would be, I guess, to like brand everything X and then build a website,
Yeah.
X.com, and then he would just be like, Twitter. We'll just go back.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like he's just trolling with that.
If there anyone
Yeah.
that will be,
Like,
it's
doesn't
him.
matter. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what the
I
results
wonder.
are.
Yeah, you're right about rebranding it. That'd be a big undertaking. but he probably should have just named it Twitter X.
Yeah. Twitter
when
is
he
some
rebranded
hybrid
it the first time.
Yeah.
And that way he could call it Twitter X, or anyone else who wants to do that, and we could keep calling it Twitter, and everybody's right.
There you go. Maybe they'll do a throwback weekend where, like, for 1 week, like Darlington, it just goes back to Twitter, and then it goes
right.
back to
Yes. they're gonna adjust accordingly according to the NASCAR schedule.
That's what. Yeah.
Let's get into some dirty air presented by Tire Pros.
All right, a quick shout out to our sponsors, Tire Pros. There are a few people who love cars as much as I do, but these tire and service experts equally love to drive. You got to give your vehicle some TLC by heading to your local Tire Pros or to tirepros.com. Find that location near you. Yeah, a lot going on in the motorsports world.
A ton.
This weekend, yeah. So I kind of would like to get to, Andrew loves to go in the opposite order.
Do whatever your heart desires in terms of the order.
If it were up to Andrew, we would run the race backwards.
Yep. In reverse.
In our analysts of the week of the race weekend, we would start with the checkered flag and work back through everything.
Right turn.
I'm just trying to get to what the people want to hear first. But let's go in order.
Have you ever heard this very, very, very famous slogan, Andrew, called "Save the best for last"?
I've never heard that, actually.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, you're learning something new. So, all right. There's a couple different things that I see here. Obviously, Ricky Rudd, Carl Edwards, and Ralph Moody were selected for the NASCAR Hall of Fame class. Pretty awesome. We can debate who belongs in, who does. If you're on the ballot, you're almost guaranteed that you belong in the Hall of Fame. It's will you get selected. So there's really nobody on the ballot that doesn't really belong in the Hall of Fame. There may be an exception to that, and everybody's got their own opinion. I would never come out publicly and say, you know what, that guy doesn't belong on the ballot.
Right.
I think that'd be a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
Even if you thought that so much. There are a couple people that I'm curious as to why they don't get on the ballot, and one of those is Ray Elder. I might have talked to y'all about Ray Elder in the past, but the guy won six. So there was a NASCAR West, which is the K&N Series now. There was a legit NASCAR Cup Series West at one point. Right? There was. And Ray ran in that series and won the championship 6 times. And he would race with the Cup teams when they came to Riverside. So the Cup Series goes out to Riverside and races twice a year. Ray would run that race. He won it 2 years in a row. Beat the Richard Petty's and David Pearson's and Cale Yarborough's outright. He came to Daytona to qualify for the Daytona 500, and I think he won a duel.
Dang.
And might have ran 4th in the Daytona 500 one year. I mean, this is going to Daytona for a West Coast guy was absolutely foreign because they had nothing like that on the West Coast. So how he got out there and was able to take his car and create speed with it's very impressive. That kind of speed, anyways. But again, congratulations to Ricky, Carl, Ralph Moody. Moody's been on the ballot for a long time and finally got in. I can't wait to see Harry Gant go in. I'm excited about Harry. I think he's absolutely one of the more famous names in our sport over the years. Handsome Harry, guy ran the fence and won 4 in a row, became Mr. March and all that fun stuff. Skull Bandit, he was a fun, popular driver to pull for.
Yeah, iconic.
Ray Elder's best finish in the Daytona 500, 10th, which is impressive, 1969.
Okay, 10th.
Yeah.
All right.
And what do you think about Carl Edwards? I mean, I know he's been a name that's been floating around a bunch, and now to finally make it in the Hall of Fame.
I think it's fine. Yeah. It's Carl.
Yeah.
This is a tough thing for me, Andrew. You put me in a really tough spot because I got in at a young age in terms of Hall of Famers, right? And I'll go to the events and I'll look around and I'm like, you know, I'm definitely like the outlier here. I'm much younger than a lot of the people in this room that are wearing blue jackets. I certainly could have patiently waited an opportunity later in life to get in, which would have allowed someone to go in front of me, like a Ralph Moody or a Ricky Rudd, right? And so I struggle a little bit when a younger guy goes in. Now there's the automatics, like, you know, Jimmy Johnson and you know, recent retirees that are still rather young in terms of the grand scheme of life. There's the ones that absolutely are first ballot. Go right in. That makes sense. But and I think Carl is a Hall of Famer. Carl should be in the Hall of Fame. But some of the other names on the list, I wish they were in there, and they should already be in there,
sure.
Right? Like Harry Gant, for example. So I was hoping Burton would get in, you know, this year. I think Jeff Burton belongs in the Hall of Fame. The thing about Jeff is he had a great racing career, but he also had so much more that he put into the sport. He's been such a huge value to the sport as a broadcaster. He has been a big he's been big in the safety part of the sport and pushing that forward. He does a lot of things. So the long list of things that Jeff Burton does that would, I think, get him an automatic bid in. But anyways, that's I really don't find that conversation fun, debating who belongs in.
Right.
I don't find it fun to discuss. I don't enjoy like grading this class, right? I don't think we should do that. But yeah, that's my opinion. The Denny Hamlin Bracket Challenge is back again. It's starting, is it this weekend?
Starting this weekend, yeah. Brackets are open.
They come out in literally 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. So, you know, look through round one, a lot of interesting pairings. We got Suarez versus Buescher, which is the 15th and 18th seed. Mm-hmm. Kyle Busch and Josh Berry.
I feel like that's the most head-to-head. That's going to be the hardest matchup, I think, because Josh Berry, I mean, he finished, 10th at the Coke 600?
Yeah.
He's been having good runs, sneaky good runs, and Busch, you know, is he struggling this year? Is he, you know, that's going to be an interesting one at Gateway. Yeah, well, we know what he thinks. Yeah, he sucks just as bad as Ricky, according to Kyle Busch. I wish they were paired together. That would have been perfect.
Great. Yes, I agree. So that's that'll be fun to pay attention to. I'm going to have to get my bracket filled out.
I asked fans this weekend who's someone to watch for the bracket challenge, because obviously the seeds weren't placed, you know, until the points were set after the race. But a lot of people looked at Buescher. A lot of people looked at Larson. Byron is some of the favorites. I mean, Buescher, 15 seed, I think is a really solid bet. You know, get some bang for your buck.
At all.
What do you think, Dale? Like, who are the people you think are good in this type of head-to-head situation?
I don't know. I mean, I think the cream's going to rise to the top. I'll get my bracket. We'll fill it out. We'll see how we all do. Talk about it next week. See if there's any real surprises or upsets. I'm sure there will be some. I think a driver that might go farther would be a Hocevar. The guy, you know, kind of outperforms every once in a while. If he gets fortunate in round one, I think he could get, you know, into the second, third round. But, you know, I think it absolutely comes down to two recognizable
names.
Top 10, yeah. Two top 10 drivers. Of course, we had Brad Keselowski was in it last year.
He was?
Yeah.
I would have been surprised. I was surprised by that, right?
This year, not so much, but yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Last year was definitely a surprise.
I want to move on. I want to talk about the Xfinity race. I was there, a lot of fun, great racing, really, really great racing. 3 throughout the field, and Justin Allgaier, I think, had there was a couple teams that had the best car at different points in the race, but Justin had a great car the first half. They lost a little bit of balance and speed in the third stage, and I know that he crashed out, trying to go for it all there on the 2-tire stop late in the race, so that was kind of unfortunate. But Junior Motorsports had second, third, and fourth place in the finishing order, which is a great day for us. The engine department at Earnhardt Motorsports was able to find us a few more horses that made the job a little bit easier for the drivers this past weekend. But the big news from that race, I think, is Austin Hill and Cole Custer. And so there's been quite the back and forth, and I guess today would be the day, maybe tomorrow, whether we learn if anything's really going to happen between NASCAR and Austin Hill. Austin and Cole got together on the front straightaway, and it cut the right front tire on the 21 car of Austin Hill, and he goes down into turn one, and he and Custer crash out. I listened to Austin's post-race interview, and I don't disagree with anything he said. He's like, all that was really stupid, and it was mostly Cole's fault. Cole said in his interview, we ran tight off of turn 4. Cole brushed the wall, and he said, I was going to crowd him down the front straightaway. And so when Cole went down to crowd him, Austin Hill, they made contact, and I really put that on Cole. And he said as much. He's like, I went down to crowd him. Through a dog leg, crowding a guy or doing anything to get really close to a guy is taking a risk, because both of you might interpret how you're going to run this dog leg and use up the racetrack. And so that's what happened. They crashed. They clashed together and cut the right front tire on the 21. So, I think Austin, listening to his post-race interviews, relatively correct in everything he says. But, they get around the back straightaway, and Austin decided that he was going to turn Custer around, right? And so that's kind of where it gets sideways. No pun intended. And I think that NASCAR might have to do something here with Austin. I don't know what it is. I don't know the severity. I can't even guess now after last week's penalty with Stenhouse being $7,500. Stenhouse gets penalized $7,500. Kyle Busch gets nothing for what we know was an intentional wreck.
Right.
So what precedent has that set for this particular situation, where I see it exactly the same way? Yes, Austin Hill wrecked Cole Custer intentionally. Yes, that's bad. Yes, he deserves some sort of punishment, but something similar happened the week before, and nothing happened. So it's anybody's guess if NASCAR does anything on this situation.
It'll be certainly interesting to see. But speaking of someone's day who did not go sideways, Christopher Bell is here.
Yeah. All right, so let's bring him on in. Christopher Bell, the winner at the 600. We haven't talked much about the Cup race yet. In this episode of Dirty Air, but we got the winner. So let's bring him on in. Come on. All right, Christopher, thanks for coming and joining us today on the Dale Jr. Download. You are coming off your second win of the season at the Charlotte 600. I've always wanted to win a points race at Charlotte, never did get that done. And so that's a pretty cool deal. A big racetrack for NASCAR. It's got a lot of great history. What was the feeling like to finally claim a win there for you?
That was a weird one, Dale. I'm not gonna lie. Just the way that it all unfolded, at the end of that race was just a wicked twist of emotion, and everyone kind of felt like we were racing to the rain, and at least my group did, and my spotter and my crew chief were communicating that to me. And then all of a sudden, whenever we come down pit road, we haven't lost the track. So we're like, okay, well, maybe we're going to get back on track. And then we did lose the track, and they didn't call the race. So then it quit raining. We're like, all right, well, I guess we're going to race this thing out. So I never in a million years thought that we were going to get canceled after the rain stopped. They started drying the track. I thought we were in it for the long haul.
Did you, I imagine you probably didn't because of the process of going through the celebration of winning and all that, but did you think that they should have started the race or could have? Did you go out to the racetrack at any point and kind of get an idea of how, damp things might be, or what's your kind of take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I did not go out and look at the track and see how wet it was or what was going on, but I was surprised that they were going through the drying process because it was probably 10:15 before that stopped raining, and then I knew that we had at least 2 hours of racing left, and then however long it was going to take to dry the track. So whenever they did not cancel the race, whenever it quit drying, I went back to the motorhome and I was trying to get a nap in because I knew that it was going to be a late one whenever we got going. So I was just laying on the couch trying to close my eyes, and it's almost impossible to take a nap during a rain delay whenever you're leading the race. I can tell you that, because you're so focused on how, what's going to happen whenever you go back racing, how you're going to execute the rest of the race. And then I got woke up to the fact that we won, and that was very unique for sure.
They came and got you out of the bus, and you didn't. That's how you found out?
Well, so I'm laying on the couch, right, and I got the broadcast in the background, and they're playing these radioactive things, so it's just kind of like background noise, right? And I don't know that I wasn't like asleep or fully asleep anyway, but so then all of a sudden the background noise stops whenever the booth comes on. And I kind of like open my eyes a little bit. I'm watching the TV, and Mike, or I don't remember if it was Harvick or Boyer, someone on the booth starts talking and saying, well, they're attempting to dry the track and it isn't going well. And then at that same time, my phone buzzed, and it was the NASCAR notification that we get. And they said that it was official. And like literally, so the booth comes on, my phone buzzes, and then Ty Gibbs, my teammate, barges in my motorhome all at the exact same time. So, and I'm seconds from having my eyes closed, almost asleep. So, it was a wild change of events for sure.
So where did you go from there? Is the celebration of the win similar to other weeks, or is it a little subdued? What was is everybody is your team all kind of looking around like, wow, is this really happening?
Yeah, it was not a normal victory lane, I can promise you that. And I think it is the very first victory lane that I got booed out of, whether it was my fault or someone else's fault. But they announced my name as the winner in victory lane, and the whole crowd, what crowd was left, erupted in boos for me. So that was a first. But yeah, it was quiet. I went to victory lane. I golf carted to victory lane. My car wasn't there yet. It was still on pit road, I guess. So I beat the car there, and then my team pushed the car in, and it was different. Like normally, you're doing your burnout on the racetrack, and the crowd's excited, and you get to victory lane, and all your team's pumped. But this one had a different vibe for it for sure.
Well, I wouldn't take any of those boos personal. They're probably booing for other reasons, not so much who won, but how the end of the race come about. But it's unfortunate, but it's part of our sport. And I wanted to ask you. So you're sitting 11th in points, but you got 2 wins. You're in. From my perspective, when I watch this season, this looks like a Christopher Bell season. Like this is kind of how things go.
Dale. It's unbelievable.
Every year, you'll figure it out. Whatever's going on, you guys seem to always be ready when the postseason comes to perform like you can. But are you at this point just kind of like used to how your team has these struggles and has these sort of imperfections throughout the regular season that always seem to have to get addressed at some point?
Well, so number one, I'm extremely proud and happy. I guess pride's probably the right word for it, about how our group steps up to the plate whenever it comes postseason time. And like you said, this is kind of become the norm from us over the last couple years throughout the regular season, to have ups and downs. And then whenever it comes playoff time, you know, we've got it right the last 2 years. So, you know, I'm proud of that statement. But on the other hand, it's been very disappointing because each time that we leave a season, you know, we're looking forward to the next season and have big hopes, big goals, big ambitions. And, you know, leaving 23 was the exact same way. Going into 24, we hope to be a regular season championship contender. And it started out really good at the beginning of the year. We won early at Phoenix, had great races at Coda, Richmond, and then it just kind of fell apart on us. So, you know, we're still looking for that consistency and the ability to be a contender week in and week out throughout the regular season. So I don't know, man. It's been a disappointing season because we had, you know, a lot more expectations of ourselves. But in the postseason aspect, we've got 2 wins now, and we're trying to bank those playoff points. So just going to keep plugging away, and hopefully we can get the ship turned around here before the postseason.
Right on, man. Well, we appreciate you giving us some time today. Congratulations on the win this past weekend, the points and the bonus points and all the playoff stuff that goes toward that. It's going to serve you well in the postseason. I think that, you know, you have everybody's attention. We talked about this last year, how everybody kind of overlooked you and you pushed all the way to the finals. I feel like that won't be the case this year. You've got everybody's attention. Everybody knows what you're capable of. And, so, you know, I feel like you got a really good shot at putting yourself in a situation to go race for a championship again at the end of this season, man. So good luck with that. We'll be pulling for you. Again, thanks for your time today.
Absolutely. We'll see you later. Thank you.
All right, it's great to talk to Christopher Bell, and you know, that's a great opportunity for us to tee up the conversation around the race, the 600, and we obviously want to get into the Kyle Larson stuff as well, him trying to run the double, and everything that came about Sunday night. I will say, listening to Christopher Bell talk about how the booth came on air to tell the fans what was going on, I do not envy being in that position. There's been a couple times in the NBC booth where we have to come on air with some bad news or something that we know is unpopular, and we have to deliver it anyways, and you're not wanting to be that messenger in that moment, but it's just the way it goes. So, all right, Kyle Larson, he goes and runs the Indy 500. There was a big debate about, you know, what should he do? Weather's pushing the Indy 500 late. And there's been so much great conversation around all of this stuff. So the way I feel about it is this: like, Kyle Larson has to run the Indy 500. They have so much invested in that race. They've prepared all month, practicing, qualifying. Money has been spent. There's no way he can back out of trying to run that event. So, all right, that has to move forward. And it did, right? That's the choice they made, and that's fine. Kyle may miss the 600. I'm totally fine with that. You know, that decision was not made Sunday. That decision was made way back when Kyle Larson said, I want to do the double. Because when you make that choice, you got to know that anything could happen to make it tough to make both events, right? And so he made that choice a long time ago, and I'm fine with it. And if something happens, which it did, that would make him miss the 600, that's what happens. No problem. I do not think he should have left Indy and came to run the 600. And I don't know that a lot of people feel that way, right? I think what we all think is pretty much the majority across the board. So Justin Allgaier starts the car and drives the car up to the rain delay and finishes 13th, right? Kyle Larson gets there. I guess he was going to get back in the car if the race were to get restarted. That doesn't happen. The 600 ends as a rained out event. I don't have a problem with that. There's protocols in place that when our races are beyond halfway and we have a rain delay or any kind of rain event, the race can be called official. It's been the way it has been forever, for as long as I remember. That's what happened. I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with it. I wasn't there. I don't know what the racetrack looked like. I don't know what the surface of the racetrack looked like. I have been in some situations where it's humid and damp and nothing. They can't dry it. They can't dry it. I'm not willing to. I've seen them fire them cars down into turn one on what they thought was a dry racetrack. Y'all remember the Winston years ago where they all flew into turn one? I was in that race. Everybody goes down into turn one, wipes out. We thought the track was dry. Everybody thought the track was dry. But we got down in the corner and the cars just flew into the fence. Multiple cars. Mm-hmm. And so you can't take any chances. You can't take that risk. If they thought that the track was not dry enough, and if they thought that it was too late in the evening to race this thing out, then that's the decision they make. And I have to be okay with that. It's beyond halfway. We're not going to come back tomorrow and finish it. Mm. That is against all the things that we've ever done in the past. And we're not, they decided that they weren't going to be able to get the rest of the race in that evening for whatever reason. And so, listen, I didn't spend a dime on that race. And I know that NASCAR fans spent a lot of money to come and be there. They saw a pretty good race from what I heard all the way up until the point when the rains did come. I think the oval at Charlotte runs very well right now. It's one of the more exciting races that I've seen over the last couple of years with the next-gen car. I hate that this was a bad experience all around for everybody because it doesn't allow the road, it doesn't allow the oval to really show what it's truly capable of. And when we're arguing earlier in the show about whether the oval should come back for the second race, well, this doesn't help that argument. So I was a bit removed from the day, right? I was doing my own thing, so I wasn't as plugged in and invested as a lot of the fans that were watching at home or a lot of the fans that spent their hard-earned money to be there. And so I can appreciate their frustration and their opinions about it. But from my perspective, from what I see, I really don't see somebody mashing the wrong button or pulling the wrong lever here.
Yeah, and I was there, and I mean, to first state, I mean, I even texted in our Dirty Mo group chat. I'm like, oh, this race is over. As soon as I saw how much it rained, at first it was just a few light drizzles. Okay, they throw the caution out, and then it poured. It was heavy rain, like enough to lose the track, enough to, have weepers. But it was a quick enough sell to where, this is me sleeping on it. I could see why NASCAR's like, okay, the rain came in fast. It was intense, but it was quick. Let's see if we can try and dry the track. At least it was like, from my opinion, from my perspective, I'm completely, I don't know what the conversations were like, in the NASCAR tower, but it seemed like, okay, that was quick enough. Maybe there's time to save it. I think where the frustration comes in from the fans is it looked like they were trying to save the track, and then it was getting too late, and then they called it, I think is where that frustration comes. But, I mean, it was definitely enough rain to where I was not going to be surprised if they called that race. I was getting ready to go to that alternate victory lane because it was enough rain. We were past halfway. We raced enough to where, all right, I could totally see this decision being made.
Yeah. Look, I don't think that it's definitely it's not the outcome that Charlotte Motor Speedway or NASCAR wants. No. They don't want this, and I'm sure that they would have loved to have had a different end result. I will say that it is interesting just for me personally, and I don't expect anybody to understand this, but if I had been there in person and watched all of that play out, I'm sure that my feelings about it would be a little more charged and a little more emotional. And being sort of on the fringe of it and seeing everything happen, I'm like, okay, that's the way that ends. All right, no problem. All right, on to the next one. But, you know, so many times in my life I've been rooted in the moment, and a lot of times, you know, I get emotionally charged when something doesn't go the way I think it should, or whether I think NASCAR made a mistake, or they made a poor decision. They could have done it this way and it would have been way better. And I mean, it is hard to freaking shake that frustration and anger. And so I can appreciate, you know, where a lot of people are on this. But I'm almost glad that I wasn't that invested in it this weekend,
right?
That it didn't ruin my day. But
and I think that point right there is like, you know, you speak of the emotion of things. Well, oh man, there's rain. Like, oh crap, that's gonna be it. And then there's that little glimpse of hope of like, okay, they're drying the track. We're gonna go back racing. And then I think where the disappointment goes is, oh well, when you don't go back racing, you were hoping to. That's I think where a lot of fans are upset about that.
Yeah, and so now there's a conversation also about Kyle Larson and a waiver.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this.
All right, so Jordan Bianchi on our teardown Sunday night took a pretty firm stance that he does not believe Kyle Larson should get a waiver.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I can understand a lot of his points about that. But for me, I feel like that NASCAR has been so loose with these waivers at this point. I never doubted him not getting a waiver or getting a waiver. I thought he'd get one. I really don't know how NASCAR feels about Kyle Larson going to race at Indy and missing the 600. Do they care? Does that make them mad? Are they frustrated with Larson for choosing the 500 over the 600 in that moment? I don't know. I even if they were a little, you know, annoyed, I doubt that it's moving the needle much, and they would withhold the waiver. I think he gets the waiver. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that we should be debating whether Kyle should get a waiver or not. Kyle Larson will do enough this year as a driver, you know, in terms of wins and success and performance to deserve an opportunity to race for a championship. If he missed a couple races, whatever. Why he missed them, I don't care. I think having the waiver is more annoying to me than anything, because every time this comes around, every time a driver gets hurt and misses a few races, why they got hurt, whether they were racing or skiing or whatever, right? We have to debate it. And I'm really sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the next waiver conversation we're going to have. I just assume get rid of the waiver. Let's not have it. I know you're going to tell me why we have it and why we need it.
Well, I can play devil's advocate. Jimmy Johnson wins the Daytona 500, hypothetically, this year. He doesn't have to race until the playoffs, but he makes it.
Why would he not race?
Because now, without the waiver, you don't have to attempt all 26 starts.
But that's his career and that's his livelihood. Why would he not go race?
Because I'm just saying right now, he's part-time. He races, 6 to 10 a year. Say he wins one of them, he all of a sudden now he can make the playoffs. Is that fair to all the other people who invest more time and money into racing all the 26 races?
I think, get rid of the waiver and just do either top 30 in points or X amount of starts, 15 starts.
Right.
I mean, 15, whatever.
What's to stop like Denny Hamlin or 2311 gets a win early in the year. Now they're going to save money. They don't have to build the rest of the cars. They're just going to save their money, invest more time and resources into getting ready for the playoffs. What's to stop a team like them, like that, from doing that?
Like skipping how many races?
I don't know. If you're saying 15, then it would be the other,
10.
Yeah,
11.
Thank you. Yeah, 11.
Fine. Yeah. I'm fine. Whatever. I mean, nobody's going to do that.
I don't know.
Hey,
if it's a small team,
let me ask you.
Small team
Hey.
wins a super speedway race. Yeah, I think they would.
Junior Motorsports ain't skipping no races. We don't have all this.
And I understand. I know there's sponsor obligations as well, and most teams, you're right, would be racing the 26 races. But what's to say there's a car that hasn't sold all their sponsorship, right? They go win a race early in the year. Someone wins the Daytona 500. They have not sold their whole year. What's to stop them, a big name, Daytona 500 champion from, and I'm using the Daytona 500 as an example, from skipping races later in the year? What's to stop them? There's nothing stopping them.
No, there ain't. And if they're a small team and not able to fund the season, it's probably best that they may miss a few races. I mean, if I would see that as a smart business decision, if you were like, hey man, I've got $3 million and it's going to cost me $5 to run the whole year, and if I go win the Daytona 500 and I have all the success and I'm in position to where I might actually be able to go into the postseason, but I'm going to skip 3 races. I mean, that's just running your business in that's just making smart business decisions to make sure that you don't end up in the red at the end of the year.
Certainly, yeah, it's a good business decision, but we need our big stars. If this driver is in the playoffs, they are going to be talked about at least for those first 3 races. You need that name in every single race. That's what I think.
He's going to be there.
Okay.
Huh?
Like, if Larson doesn't make the playoffs, I will be shocked. Flabbergasted. So it's like he's going to be it's one race.
I'm not arguing. Yeah, no, Larson. I'm
Who?
not arguing.
Give me
Larson.
a driver. Give me a driver.
Let's say, for example, and I have no idea what the situation is at Trackhouse, but let's say Daniel Suarez. He wins Atlanta, and he has not sold he has not sold sponsorship yet for the rest of the year. There's still a few open races that maybe they haven't sold sponsorship at. Daniel Suarez, a significant name, decides to skip out on races. I don't think that is a thing that should be, allowed if we take this waiver away.
I'm kind of in the middle on this because, with how much we talk about at the end of the year, how important every point is, and they're going after stage wins and they're short pitting and all this stuff. Isn't the penalty of not getting any points enough of a reason not to want to skip races? I feel like at that point, the penalty should just be, okay, you don't get any points for this race, Kyle Larson. If that's what we're getting at, I don't think a waiver needs to be had. I don't think, maybe the top 30 in points thing would
Daniel
be a good
Suarez,
thing.
if he's in the playoffs, how much?
And there's also no
he's
guarantee.
He's not competing for a regular season championship.
Now there's a little bit of.
So there's less for him to compete for. If I'm Daniel Suarez, I haven't sold all my sponsorship. All right, we're not going to race Pocono. Oh, great! Now all the fans at Pocono who were hoping to see Daniel Suarez don't get to see him.
If they want to take that point penalty, then I mean.
And my point is, our superstars. If you're in the playoffs, you are a star. They need to be in all 26 regular season races. That's what I think.
I think they would. I mean, when you're Andrew, when you talk about Daniel Suarez, it's not just Daniel Suarez that goes and sits at home. It's
all the team guys too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Trackhouse cannot operate that way. No race team can truly operate that way. If they're going to race for a championship, they can't miss races. They can't take weeks off. You can't go home and come back and think you're just going to keep up with the Joneses in the competition.
That's what I'm saying.
By missing a few races. If they're a legit contender, they're going to show up and race. If they're not a legit contender, then me and you can just watch them go sit at home, not run their race, not come. They're not going to be they're not going to be any kind of a factor in the playoffs because they're not here every single week. You can't sit out a week and be competitive in this series.
Would you consider 23-11 a competitive team?
Sure.
Okay. So Denny Hamlin, when we talked about him about the whole charter stuff, say they can't get to an agreement. What happens then? One of the things he said is, okay, well now 23XI won't travel to the races that are too expensive. We won't go to LA for the Clash. We won't go to the races that it costs a lot to travel to.
No, he didn't say that. He said he wouldn't go to the Clash. He didn't say anything about other races that cost a lot of money.
Okay, but even so, like the Clash, I think
a non-points race,
right? But again, like I think we need our stars in every race. And I think the only way to truly guarantee and regulate that is to have a waiver.
Oh, geez.
I disagree.
So the waiver for you isn't even operating as is written. The waiver is you're looking at the waiver as a way to bind the teams to force them into running every single race. Now you could have a whole other protocol in place to handle that. You don't have to. The waivers, like for driver health, if they miss a race for injury or whatever, it's not, hey man, we're going to have this waiver so we bind all these teams to compete every single week and force these drivers to show up.
Then I would make it more of the argument of a Jimmy Johnson then. Wins a race early. He only has to race 5 or 6 because that's as many races as he plans on going.
I think you could take because I think you could take the waiver out. You get rid of the waiver because it's stupid. And go back to an idea of where you've got to be you got to finish at a certain level in performance, whether that's points, whether that's wins, or how many races you attempt, all of those things, and that will settle it out. You're not people. Look at all of the Xfinity teams that don't have the funding but still show up. And that's at the Xfinity level or the truck level. This in the Cup Series, you're not going to have teams literally taking the week off. Nobody that's really a contender and a true threat to win a championship, a true playoff team is going to take time away and just say, you know what, we're not going this week because it doesn't matter. That would hurt their credibility. That would hurt their standing in the sport, their pride, their legitimacy, and all of that affects partnerships, sponsors. Who could take you seriously if you don't show up every week? It ain't like golf where those boys, that they can take a couple tournaments off and only play these select ones. If you have a problem or something like that happens, we could put protocols in place to drive, to where you'd have to drive performance to be able to, you'd have to show up to the track to check these boxes, right? But the waiver conversation, especially when we get into the situation with what's happening with Larson, it's just annoying because he's going to race for a championship. He should, he will. And here we are debating about whether he deserves a waiver or not. It just doesn't. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah.
I think where we're kind of spinning in circles, we both agree there's got to be something to keep teams in check, right? Whether it is points. I'm saying since the points rule isn't in play, then we need a waiver, right? If it ends up being a top 30 thing or something else, I would be all right with that. So I think we're kind of arguing the same thing.
Well, I appreciate you having a different opinion, man. I mean,
but I just don't think my opinion is like if Jimmy Johnson wins a race early, and I know, but then he wouldn't be high enough in points. Then that's fine. But my point is, if you're going to be in the playoffs, I want you in all 26 races. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe that's as simple as it is. I mean, maybe you get rid of the waiver, and that would probably exclude Kyle Larson though if you said
right. So that's why the waiver's in place.
Jeez. Yeah.
So,
the waiver to me was always like a health thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And now we're kind of using it as in an unintended way, right?
I think it was always just used because of health reasons, but I'm sure that wasn't like, and I don't exactly know what the terms of the waiver are, but I'm sure that's not the express, use of it. But it's only recently been used in our knowledge as, waivers for
so
people
do we
who are
need,
injured.
So maybe the waivers should be strictly for health reasons, and we need another
Like a competition one.
system in place that's competition driven, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Find a common
we're
ground.
figuring things out.
Maybe there just needs to be a clause in NASCAR's rule book that says, hey, if you attempt the
Literally, right.
Why isn't that in there? I don't understand that.
Why not? I mean, we handle this going forward, right?
Didn't Blaney hint at that he wants to possibly do it in the future?
Blaney said he wanted to do it with Scott McLaughlin the same year. And so an IndyCar driver then does the double, which has never been done before. Has it? I don't think it has. That would be cool.
Maybe back in the day, but...
All right, a lot of great conversation around everything going on in the sport, and the Dirty Air segment brought to you by Tire Pros. There's a few people that love cars as much as I do, but these tire service experts equally love to drive. They offer a huge selection of brand name tires and full service repairs, oil changes, alignments, brakes. Tire Pros, they got it all. They're giving your car the TLC it deserves. Tire Pros is unique because each location is owned by women and men in your community, but with the added support and resources of over 600 locations nationwide. So next time you need your car to get a tune-up, show your neighbors some love. Take it to Tire Pros. All right, everybody, we're live for the Ask Junior portion of the show today, the Dale Jr. Download. As you can see, maybe you can see, I don't know. I'm not at the studio. The guys are all at the studio, Andrew and Dalton and Alex. I'm on vacation this weekend, enjoying some time with my family at the beach, but we are coming to you to talk about everything that is going on in the sport. So you'll get the same shows this week with Dirty Air and also our guest segment coming out Wednesday. But this is the Ask Junior portion, so let's get to these questions.
Yes, and I think we can see and hear you, which is great news.
Awesome.
This first question, we're doing what is intended. This first question coming from Johnny. He saw you took some pictures looking at the attic above an old race shop. Did you have any cool finds? It seems like you did.
Yeah, my uncle Robert G. Jr. and Jimmy G. are selling a piece of property that they owned forever, and they worked in this shop a long time, back in the 80s all the way through the 90s, and they hung the body on, for example, the 1990 Daytona 500 winner for Derek Cope in that shop, and it was cool, man, to go up in there and you see all kinds of old racing parts and stuff. I found an old hood that was one of my dad's race used hoods that my uncle wanted me to have, and so I was able to. It was probably 1994, 1993. I don't know exactly anything else about the hood, but I know that it's used. There's rubber and all kinds of debris on the back side of it to indicate that it's actually been in a race. And it came off of the car. If you heard the Bobby Hillin interview, Bobby Hillin talked about how he raced for this group out of Australia that bought a car from Richard Childress. The hood came off of that car. So pretty cool, and love going to old race shops and seeing history and learning about what's going on there, and just finding old parts and pieces off old cars and stuff like that. It's great.
Yeah, no, that was super cool. This next question coming from Carl. What was it like having, roles reverse, Josh Berry interview you during the Xfinity Series race?
I really appreciated Josh signing up to do that. The guy's in his first year in the Cup Series. He's like up to here in water, and he's just about drowning in information and everything coming at him. But he took time to get outside of the box a little bit and do something that I think he would really enjoy. I like to see our drivers find a way to learn what the broadcast is about, what it's like to do the broadcast, and some of the challenges that come with it. And I think he walks away with a better appreciation for not just myself or anybody else that works in the booth, but our pit reporters and the job they're trying to do, and even our print media, right? Like it really helped me understand and appreciate how hard the print media works, everybody in the media center, and gave me a newer appreciation for their roles. So that's good for our drivers to experience and see, and I think it's helpful across the board. So I hope he enjoyed it. He seemed like he had a fun time. Seemed like he did a great job. Everybody complimenting him about his winter interview on the front straightaway. How cool is that?
Yeah, no, it was super cool. We actually talked to Josh on Sunday, and we've got a great clip of his perspective of interviewing you. But he's like, "This is like the different universe. Like, what kind of world is this?" And he had to break the news that Justin Allgaier was speeding on pit road to you.
Yeah, yeah. That's a tough part of doing live television, man. Yeah, it's like we're gonna do an interview, we're gonna have fun, but also there's this little bit of bad news I need to share with you. So
right, yeah. We talked about it at the top of the show, but and I'm not making this name up. This is from the YouTube chat. The random guy, he's very random, wants to know about the SimRig in your background, and I also see that it's 24 days to summer according to the ticker behind you. But what's the SimRig setup you got?
Yeah, I basically teamed up with WR1, Chad Wheeler. He makes SimRigs for that company, WR1, and he sponsored our esports car at Junior Motorsports for a couple years with Michael Conti, and so that's a WR1 chassis behind me, a triple screen, 34-inch curved monitors. I built the PC, so it runs pretty good most of the time, but I really enjoy. It's a newer rig that I've had for a while, but I haven't put it together until I got it down here at this vacation house. And so Amy's not thrilled about it. Doesn't love the idea. Yeah, she doesn't love the idea of me racing on the SimRig while we're here with the kids on vacation. But just in case there's a big race going down or something I need to do, because I work for iRacing too. So there's times when they're like, "Hey, we need you to try this," or "What do you think about this?" And so I need the rig nearby. I need to be able to access the software. So I'm very thankful to have it. So
what was that picture you sent us of it's the podcasting / sim room? It was from the outside. It was like glowing bright red. It was at night. What's like, you got like lights in there that like glow? Oh, it's that light?
That one back there.
Yeah, I got some. Yeah, you got to have some accent lighting in this room. It's
right.
It's all kind of like these kind of basic colors. But if you look over my shoulder at both of those pictures, that's the Daytona Beach course. And I went on Getty and found 2 photos of cars racing at the Daytona Beach course because I thought, man, I got a beach house, racing photos,
that's on theme.
Beach course racing photos is. Amy was like, "Yeah, I'll allow that." And so I had those framed at the local at a local shop in Mooresville. Brought them down here to add to our studio, our off-site remote studio here.
Yeah,
I got my printer right there. And I'm printing all of my crap for you guys to be able to go through my notes.
Most important thing in that room.
Yeah, my little mini ticker.
Yes,
we got a big ticker. Our fans don't know.
They don't.
We've got a big 14-foot ticker coming to the Dirty Mo offices.
I can't wait.
And we're going to shoot some stuff in there. We're building out this new office, and we're going to shoot some stuff in there. You'll get to see that soon, so I'm excited about that. But here's the mini ticker.
It's a taste of what we're getting.
And the SimRig, yeah.
It's the calm before the storm. Dale, I know we've got a busy day. We're just cranking things out here on Dale Jr. Download. That's a good place to end it this week. Ask Jr. with Xfinity.
All right, man. I appreciate everybody. Thank you, Xfinity, for everything you do. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope y'all enjoyed the shows. We're trying to create great content here while I'm not in the studio, and I hope you enjoy what we're doing over the summer. And because we'll be doing it from this, we'll be doing it kind of like this quite a bit during the summer. So you still get all the same great stuff. Christopher Bell called in earlier in the show and gave us a great interview. And we've got a big guest for this weekend or this week tomorrow that we want to tell you about. You'll have to listen to the podcast later today to learn who that is. So have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Xfinity and Xfinity Mobile, for everything you do. All right, so we're going to talk a little Dirty Mo Doe with Alex Timms. Tampa Timms, he's at the table.
Hey.
Hey, buddy. Good weekend for you. Did you bet Bell to win?
I did. Bet Bell to win.
He did?
I did.
All right, man. You bet Ty Gibbs to win, McLaughlin to win.
Yeah, I had like a little, kind of Memorial Day winners parlay. So I tried to get them all there. It looked pretty good for a while with McLaughlin, but then Newgarden, he kind of got shuffled back with some pit stops and stuff, something like that. So.
Yeah. Right on. But so you ended up cashing some bets.
Oh, yeah, we did good. With the rain delay, it was big for me. I had Denny Hamlin top 5. He finished 5th. And I had Chastain and Bowman top 10, and they finished, I think, 8th and 9th. So the rain delay,
nice.
I didn't love not seeing all 600 miles, but it cashed some bets. So
worked for you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to Gateway this weekend coming up. A newer kind of track on the schedule. Not a lot of history there to dive into as far as, kind of seeing what you think about drivers and their performance and what it might be. You got some early predictions?
I got nobody in particular, but really just guys that have raced there kind of back when it was the Nationwide Series, Xfinity Series. Like, they have a little more experience there. New Hampshire is kind of a similar track, so maybe guys that run well there. So I'll probably target those guys.
Right on. All right, man. Well, Dirty Mo Doe, it drops every Thursday on our Dirty Mo Media platforms. You don't want to miss it. Tampa Tim, Steve Letarte, giving you all of the information coming up every single weekend. This weekend at Gateway, tune in. They'll have all the lines and more specific bets to make or some ideas on where they think you can make some money. So hopefully you're following Dirty Mo Media and Dirty Mo Doe with Steve Letarte. Tampa Timms, thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, so time for the white flag. The teardown, as I mentioned, dropped on Monday. Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi talked about everything going on at the race this weekend in Indy and at Charlotte, the 600, and gave their opinions about everything that they saw and everything that's happening. Really enjoying having those two guys as part of our team this year. Dropping today, action is detrimental with Denny Hamlin and door bumper clear. And then tomorrow, Speed Street with Connor Daly and Chase Holden. Luke Combs is our interview for our guest segment this week. So can't wait to talk to Luke. That drops as well on Wednesday. Thursday, DJD Reloaded and Dirty Mo Doe both coming out. Don't forget the Denny Hamlin Bracket Challenge is back for its second year. It's head-to-head single elimination tournament style featuring 32 drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series. It stretches over the course of 5 races, beginning Sunday at Gateway and ends in Nashville on June 30th. This year, there'll be some prizes and things for the winners. The grand prize winner will be really happy if they're able to walk away with this. So there will be an additional 11 winners also that can enjoy some prizes as well. It's all free. Be sure you sign up. The bracket opens on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern and closes at 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, right before the green flag flies at Gateway. Go to dirtymomedia.com/bracket challenge to enter. I'm going to be filling mine out today.